Just got a question from Evan in the podcast comments. Evan's asking if you should charge a pet fee. This sounds ridiculous, but I have an answer that I'm kind of in agreement with this question. Is asking if you should charge a pet fee for an applicant that wants to apply with a pet snake that's kept into an aquarium. And his point being is would that be ridiculous? And I understand why somebody is going to think that's ridiculous, but it's not. So. And same thing with hamsters, certainly with fish, but that's a whole other ballgame. But I mean, ask around, ask your friends, or maybe actually think back to your own childhood. If you had any pets that were kept in an aquarium, like a hamster or a mouse, anything along the lines of that, or gerbil, I mean, did they ever get out? And the answer to that question might be yes. Maybe you and your family was a little bit more diligent and, keeping the pet into its enclosure, but not every household is. And if you ask around, you will actually probably come up with a lot of folks, ask at a party, you're going to hear a lot of stories about folks that lost their hamsters. That doesn't sound like a big deal, besides it's going to be obviously devastating to the individuals or the kids that lose their hamster, but it can also wreak havoc. These things can really damage a property, and a snake can damage the property as well. So I would probably say I would consider this. If you very well might want to. So you're basically taking a pet deposit to offset the risk and the damage to the property to make it worth your while. We have a policy about accepting more than one pet. We really do kind of look at you if you actually want more than one pet, just because I have a background in animals and when you get more than one pet, two cats in a house start competing with one another, whereas in one cat doesn't as much. So the scratching and the marketing goes way, way down. And same thing with dogs. They start kind of competing with one another when there's multiple dogs, whereas they don't when there's one. So a lot of the behavioral issues that can damage the property kind of go away. We do actually charge, my property management company, we do charge a pet fee for all pets. And again, just because a snake gets loose, as it often would, that's a huge problem. Or, we're also not pet experts. So you want to tell me that you want to have a pet turtle in an aquarium, I don't really know what that means. I assume it means at some point some water. And it just takes a very simple accident, something falling off a shelf or somebody tripping, or any variety of different things can happen to where that aquarium gets compromised and that water gets out, and that of course would cause considerable damage to a property. But again, just even a snake or a hamster getting loose can cause considerable damage to a property. With my property management company, we see pest control, and it's in our lease, is a tenant expense, but we tend to actually take responsibility for it. So we tend to pay for these items. And when I approach my property owners on this, I'll actually explain the damage that we actually see from a mouse problem, and it's considerable. We've had entire units where the stove and the refrigerator wires were just destroyed, and it's kind of commonplace. So multiple times a year, we'll actually lose an appliance because a mouse will be unreported. The tenants won't let us know that there's a mouse issue in the home, and the mice will actually damage these units. Even cockroaches, as horrible as this sounds, even cockroaches can actually cause damage to appliances, and I've seen it time and time again. So I would charge a pet deposit for a hamster, a gerbil, a snake, anything of that nature, because it might seem harmless, but they often are not. All right. Happy investing.